In a heavy snowstorm in Montana, a billionaire found himself stranded beside his luxurious Rolls-Royce with a flat tire. He called for help, but there was no signal. He tried to change the tire himself and failed. Anger and despair hit him as he remembered the $2.3 billion contract waiting to be signed. Just when all hope seemed lost, 3 poor boys appeared through the snow and fixed his car in minutes. When he offered them $500 in thanks, they flatly refused, and the reason they gave left the billionaire speechless. Before finding out the truth, tell me where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe to see tomorrow's surprise. Damn it! Marcus Wellington's voice cracked through the frozen morning air as he kicked the flat tire. Pain shot through his foot, but he didn't care. The anger felt better than the panic rising in his chest. 7:45 in the morning. The sun should have been up by now, but the blizzard had turned the sky into a wall of gray and white. Snow fell so thick, Marcus could barely see 10 feet ahead. He stood on the side of the road, both hands pressed against the side of his car, breathing hard. Each breath came out in white clouds that disappeared into the storm. "This can't be happening," he said, his voice shaking. "This cannot be happening to me." But it was. The tire had blown 15 minutes ago. Marcus had been driving 70 miles per hour, maybe faster, trying to make up time. Then, boom! The sound had been so loud he thought someone had shot at him. The car jerked right. His hands fought with the steering wheel. The Rolls-Royce skidded fishtailed and finally stopped at an angle on the shoulder. Now, here he was, stuck, on a back road in Montana, in the middle of a blizzard. Marcus pulled out his phone. His hands were already going numb even through his leather gloves. He held up the phone, squinting at the screen through the falling snow. No signal. "No," he whispered. He walked forward a few steps, holding the phone higher. "Come on, come on." Still nothing. Just those 2 words at the top of the screen, "No service." Marcus tried calling anyway. He pressed his assistant's number and waited. The phone didn't even ring. Just went straight to "call failed." He tried again. Same thing. Damn it. He wanted to throw the phone into the snow. $500 million in the bank, and his $1,000 iPhone was useless. Completely useless. The wind picked up, blowing snow sideways into his face. Marcus turned away, squinting. His coat was already covered in white. The coat had felt so warm in his penthouse that morning. Now it felt like paper. He walked to the back of the car and popped the trunk. Inside, perfectly organized, sat the spare tire. Next to it, a jack, a lug wrench, an emergency kit he'd never opened. Marcus stared down at it all. He had no idea what to do with any of it. "Okay," he said out loud, trying to calm himself. "Okay, I can figure this out. I went to Stanford. I built a company from nothing. I can change a tire." But even as he said it, he knew he couldn't. 25 years ago, maybe. Back when he was poor and drove that piece of crap Honda. Back then, he'd fixed everything himself because he had to. Oil changes, brake pads, flat tires. But that was another life. Now Marcus Wellington paid people to do things like this. He had people for everything. His assistant handled his schedule. His driver took him everywhere. His building manager dealt with problems. Marcus just made decisions and signed checks. He reached down and grabbed the lug wrench. It was heavier than he expected, cold metal even through his gloves. He walked to the flat tire and knelt down in the snow. His $4,000 Berluti shoes sank into the snow. He could feel the cold water soaking through, immediately freezing his feet. His pants, custom-made $1,500, were getting soaked at the knees. Marcus positioned the wrench on one of the lug nuts and pulled. Nothing happened. He pulled harder. The wrench slipped off, and he fell backward into the snow. Shit! He scrambled up snow all over his coat, his pants, and his hair. He tried again. This time, he put his whole body into it, pulling with all his strength. The wrench slipped again. Marcus went down hard, his shoulder hitting the side of the car. He stayed there for a moment on his knees in the snow, breathing hard. His shoulder throbbed. His hands hurt. His feet were going numb. And the lug nut hadn't moved at all. "I can't do this," he said quietly. Then louder, "I can't do this." Marcus stood up. He was shaking now, but not from the cold, from frustration, from anger, from fear. He looked at his watch. 7:52. The meeting in Denver started at 9:30. He had 1 hour and 38 minutes. It was a 50-minute drive from here if he had a working car, which he didn't. "Think," Marcus told himself, pacing next to the car. "Think, think, think. but there was nothing to think about. He had no signal. No one was coming. He was alone. The snow kept falling. Already it had covered his footprints from just a minute ago. Nature was erasing him bit by bit like he didn't matter. Marcus looked around. On both sides of the road, nothing but white fields and dark trees. No houses, no cars, no people. Just endless Montana wilderness. He'd chosen this route because it was faster. 40 minutes faster than the interstate. His assistant had warned him. Mr. Wellington, the weather report says, but Marcus had cut her off. I don't care about the weather. I need to be in Denver by 9:30. So stupid. So arrogant. And now here he was paying for it. Marcus walked back to the driver's seat and sat down. He stared at the dashboard, at all the buttons and screens and technology. This car had cost $150,000. It had heated seats, massage functions, a premium sound system, GPS that could guide him anywhere in the world, but it couldn't change its own tire, and neither could he. Marcus laughed. It came out sounding half crazy. He pressed his palms against his eyes, trying to push back the panic. $500 million, he said to the empty car. I have $500 million in assets. I can buy anything, anything. But I can't buy my way out of this. Money. His whole life had become about money. Making it, growing it, protecting it. Money was power. Money was control. Money meant he never had to depend on anyone, except now, sitting here in a blizzard with a flat tire, his money meant nothing. He couldn't pay the snow to stop, couldn't pay the tire to fix itself, couldn't pay someone to appear out of nowhere and help him. For the first time in decades, Marcus Wellington was completely powerless. The wind howled. Snow blew into the car, landing on the leather seats, melting into tiny puddles. Marcus just sat there watching it happen. His phone buzzed. He grabbed it, hope flaring in his chest. But it was just a notification. Calendar reminder, meeting Paramount Tower, 9:30 a.m. Marcus stared at it. Then he threw the phone onto the passenger seat. I'm not going to make it, he said out loud. Hearing the words made them real. I'm going to lose this deal. 8 months of work, gone, because of a flat tire. Richard Chen would be thrilled. His competitor had been circling this acquisition for months. If Marcus didn't show up, Chen would swoop in. He'd close the deal. He'd take the $2.3 billion prize that Marcus had worked so hard to line up. And Marcus's reputation finished. You don't miss a meeting like this. You don't disappear without a word. In his world, reliability was everything. Show up late and you were weak. Fail to show at all. You were done. Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Real fear. Not the fear of losing money he'd made and lost millions before. This was deeper, the fear of being exposed, of everyone seeing that underneath all the success and the confidence and the expensive suits, he was just a man who couldn't change a tire. He looked down at his hands. They were shaking. His fingers, which had signed contracts worth billions, which had shaken hands with CEOs and senators, couldn't even grip a wrench properly. Pathetic, he whispered. The clock on the dashboard changed 7:58 a.m., 1 hour and 32 minutes. Marcus sat there in the open door of his Rolls-Royce, snow falling around him, and felt smaller than he had in 25 years. The storm didn't care who he was, didn't care about his Stanford degree or his Manhattan penthouse or his investment portfolio. Nature was crushing him, and there was nothing he could do about it. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The cold air burned his lungs. This was it, rock bottom. The moment where everything he'd built came crashing down because of one stupid tire and one stupid decision to take a shortcut. Marcus opened his eyes and stared out at the white emptiness. And then, from somewhere in the distance, he heard something. Laughter. Marcus froze. Through the howling wind he heard it. Laughter. Young voices cutting through the storm. He lifted his head and squinted into the white wall of snow. 3 shapes emerged from the blizzard. Small shapes moving toward him. 3 boys on bicycles. They pedaled through the storm like it was nothing, laughing and talking to each other. As they got closer, Marcus could see them clearly. 3 black kids, probably teenagers. The tallest wore a torn red jacket. The middle one had taped up glasses and a blue coat missing buttons. The smallest wore a faded yellow jacket 3 sizes too big. They rode right up and stopped. Man, that's a nice car, the tall one said, looking at the Rolls-Royce. Marcus stared. Where had they come from? 3 kids in the middle of a blizzard. The tall one stepped off his bike. You need help, sir? Marcus found his voice. Where did you come from? Pinewood. Town's about 3 miles back. He looked at the flat tire. Tires blown out pretty bad. Yes, Marcus stood up, brushing snow off his coat. I know. We can fix it, the boy said. Marcus let out a sharp laugh. You can fix it. Yeah. The boy looked at him like it was obvious. You can't. The question stung. Marcus felt his face flush. I was about to. The boy with glasses spoke up. It's okay, sir. Lots of people don't know how. We've done this tons of times. On a Rolls-Royce. Marcus heard how snobby he sounded the second the words left his mouth. The smallest kid grinned. Tire's a tire, mister. Marcus looked at them. They were serious, actually offering to help. Look, I appreciate it, but... But what? The tall one interrupted. You got somewhere to be. Marcus checked his watch. 8:03. Actually, yes. A very important meeting in Denver. Then we better hurry. The boy walked to the trunk and opened it. I'm Malik. The one with glasses grabbed the jack. Jamal. The small one reached for the lug wrench. Deshaun. They didn't wait for permission, just started working. Wait, Marcus said. You can't just... But they already were. Malik knelt by the flat tire, his bare hands red from cold. Jamal positioned the jack. Deshaun pressed against the car to steady it. Don't you have gloves? Marcus asked. Malik shrugged. Lost them. Both of them. Yay. He didn't seem bothered. Jamal, jack goes here. Deshaun, hold it steady. They moved like a machine. Smooth. Practiced. Like they'd done this 100 times. Marcus stood there useless. You really know what you're doing. Malik looked up. Snow was collecting in his short hair. My dad taught me before he got sick. Something in his voice made Marcus stop talking. Jamal worked the jack, pumping it up and down. The car lifted slowly. See, sir, you got to put the jack under the frame, not the body. Otherwise, you'll dent it. Marcus nodded like he understood. He didn't. Deshaun started humming. Hip-hop. His voice was good. You boys shouldn't be out in this storm, Marcus said. We're used to it, Deshaun said, still humming. Used to blizzards. Used to cold, Malik said. He had the wrench on the first lug nut now. His arms strained, his face tensed. Then the nut turned. Marcus had tried that same thing 10 minutes ago. Couldn't even budge it. This kid did it like nothing. How did you? Star pattern, Jamal explained. You loosen them like a star. Top, then bottom right, then top left. Keeps the pressure even. Malik moved to the second nut. Can you hand me that towel from the trunk? It took Marcus a second to realize Malik was talking to him. He hurried to get it. Thanks. Malik wiped his greasy hands. Marcus watched them work. They were so young, their clothes falling apart, out in a blizzard, but they were helping him. A complete stranger. Why are you doing this? Marcus asked suddenly. Malik paused. Doing what? Helping me. You don't know me. The three boys glanced at each other. Malik went back to work. You looked like you needed help. But you're just kids. You should be home. Warm. Not out here. Deshaun laughed. We were heading to shovel Mrs. Chen's driveway. She's old. Can't do it herself. In this storm. It's gonna get worse later, Malik said. Better now than later. Marcus stared. These kids were going out in a blizzard to shovel snow for an elderly woman and stopped to help him on the way. Almost done, Malik announced. He tightened the last lug nut. His breath came in white clouds. His fingers had to be frozen. Jamal lowered the jack. The Rolls-Royce settled on 4 good tires. Deshaun brushed snow off his jacket. All set, mister. Marcus looked at the tire, then at the boys. You actually did it. Told you we could, Malik said, smiling. Marcus felt something tight in his throat. How long did that take? Jamal checked his watch. 18 minutes. 18 minutes. What Marcus couldn't do at all. That's incredible. Marcus pulled out his wallet. His hand shook as he opened it. Inside a thick stack of hundreds, he pulled out 5 bills, $500. Here, he said, holding them out to Malik. You earned this. All of you. You saved me. Malik looked at the money, then shook his head. No, thank you, sir. Marcus blinked. What? We don't need it. But, Marcus pushed the money closer. This is $500. Take it. We didn't do it for money, Jamal said. Deshaun was already on his bike. You needed help, mister. That's all. But I'm offering you $500. Marcus's voice rose. Why won't you take it? Malik wiped his hands on his jacket. My dad used to say you don't help people for what you get back. You help because it's right. Marcus stood there, arm extended, holding money these kids refused. You're sure? His voice came out quieter now. You're absolutely sure? Marcus stood there, arm extended, holding $500 that these kids refused. "You're sure?" His voice came out quieter now. "You're absolutely sure?" Malik looked at the money, then at his two friends. Something passed between them. A silent understanding. "We're sure, sir," Malik said, but then he paused. "Can I tell you something?" Marcus lowered his hand. "What?" "About why we can't take your money." "Okay." Malik looked down at his hands. They were still covered in grease from the tire. 2 years ago, my dad got sick. Real sick. Cancer. Marcus felt his chest tighten. He was a mechanic, Malik continued. Worked at Miller's auto shop in town. Best mechanic in Pinewood. Maybe in all of Montana. His voice carried pride. People came from 3 towns over just to have him work on their cars. Jamal and Deshaun stood quiet. They'd heard this story before. One day, middle of winter, a woman broke down on this same road. Her car died. Temperature was like, I don't know, -20. She had 2 little kids in the back seat. They were crying. Malik's breath came out in white clouds as he talked. My dad was driving home from work. Saw her. He could have kept going. He was tired. He'd worked 10 hours that day. And Mom was waiting dinner for him. But he didn't keep going, Marcus said quietly. No, sir. He pulled over, spent 2 hours in the freezing cold fixing her car. Got it running again. The woman tried to pay him. She had about $40, probably all the money she had. Malik looked up at Marcus now. His eyes were bright. Dad said no. He told her to use that money to buy her kids something hot to eat. Then he followed her all the way to the next town, just to make sure she made it safe. The wind howled around them. Snow kept falling, but Marcus didn't feel cold anymore. 3 months later, Malik's voice got quieter. Dad collapsed at work. They found the cancer. It was bad. Stage 4. In his lungs. His liver. Everywhere. Jesus, Marcus whispered. He couldn't work anymore. We had some savings, but not much. Medical bills started piling up. We were going to lose our house. Mom was working 2 jobs, but it wasn't enough. Jamal spoke up now. That's when people started showing up. What people? Marcus asked. Everyone, Malik said. The whole town. People Dad had helped over the years. They brought food, money, whatever they could. Mrs. Chen, the lady, we're going to help today. She organized a fundraiser, raised $15,000. Deshaun nodded. Mr. Patterson at the hardware store, he paid 3 months of their mortgage. Didn't ask for it back. The woman with the 2 kids. Malik continued, the one Dad helped that night. She drove 3 hours to visit him in the hospital, brought a card signed by like 50 people Dad didn't even know. People she'd told about what he did. The card had $2,000 in it. Marcus felt something in his throat. He couldn't speak. Dad died 6 months later, Malik said, his voice steady but soft. But before he did, he called me to his hospital bed. He could barely talk. The cancer was in his throat by then. But he grabbed my hand, and he said something I'll never forget. Malik stopped, took a breath. When he spoke again, his voice cracked just a little. He said, Malik, I'm leaving you boys without much. No big inheritance, no college fund, no house paid off. But I'm leaving you something more important. I'm leaving you a good name. People will remember me as someone who helped. That's worth more than any amount of money. You understand? A tear ran down Malik's face. He wiped it away quickly. I told him I understood. Then he said, when you see someone who needs help, you help them. Not because they can pay you, not because you'll get something back. You help because that's what makes you human. That's what makes you rich. You promise me. Malik's hand went to his chest, like he was holding something there. I promised him. We all did. Me mom, my little sister. We were all there. That was the last real conversation we had with him. 2 days later, he was gone. The 3 boys stood in the snow, silent. Marcus realized Jamal was crying too. Deshaun's eyes were red. After the funeral, Jamal said, we made a pact. The 3 of us. We'd honor Mr. Davis's memory by helping people whenever we could. My dad knew Malik's dad, Deshaun added. They worked together sometimes. Mr. Davis taught my dad everything about fixing cars. When he died, my dad cried for 3 days straight. Said he lost the best man he ever knew. Malik looked at the $500 in Marcus's hand, then at Marcus's face. So you see, sir, we can't take your money. It's not about the money. It never was. We saw you stuck out here in the cold. We thought about Dad, about what he'd do. And we knew. We just knew we had to stop. Marcus's hand dropped to his side. The bills felt heavy now. Wrong. My dad used to say, Malik continued, that when you help someone for money, it's just a transaction. But when you help someone for nothing, it's a connection. And connections are what we're all here for. To connect. To be human together. The words hit Marcus like a physical force. He said that being rich isn't about what you have in your bank account. It's about what you have in here. Malik tapped his chest. How many people would cry at your funeral? How many lives did you make better? That's how you measure wealth, not in dollars. Marcus stood frozen. He thought about his own father, a cold man, distant, who died 5 years ago. At the funeral, maybe 30 people showed up. Most were business associates. No one cried, not even Marcus. He thought about his own life. How many lives had he made better, really better? He couldn't think of any. Your father, Marcus said, his voice rough. Sounds like he was an incredible man. He was, Malik said simply. Best man I ever knew. And you're honoring him by helping strangers in blizzards. We're trying, sir. Some days it's hard, like today it's cold as hell out here. Malik smiled through his tears. But then we think about Dad, about how he never complained, never asked for anything back, and it makes it easier. Deshaun spoke up. Plus, it feels good, helping people. You know, Marcus realized he didn't know. He couldn't remember the last time he'd helped someone without expecting something in return. So that's why we can't take your money, Malik finished. It's not about pride. It's not about being stubborn. It's about keeping a promise to a man who taught us what really matters. The three boys stood there in their torn jackets in the freezing cold, having just spent 18 minutes fixing a stranger's car. And they were refusing $500 because of a promise made to a dying father. Marcus felt something break inside him, some wall he'd built up over years of deals and negotiations, and treating everything like a transaction. Your father would be proud of you, Marcus said. His voice came out thick. All three of you. Thank you, sir, Malik said. That means a lot. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever regret it helping people for free when you have so little yourselves? The three boys looked at each other. Then Malik shook his head. No, sir. We've got everything that matters. We've got each other. We've got people in town who love us. We've got food on the table. That's more than enough. But your jacket, Marcus said, pointing at the tear. Your glasses, Jamal, they're held together with tape. You could use this money. We could, Jamal agreed. But we don't need it. There's a difference. Deshaun grinned. Besides, this jacket's got character. I've had it since I was 10. It's like an old friend. Marcus looked at them. Really looked at them. Three boys who had nothing but somehow had everything, who understood something about life that Marcus, with all his education and success, had completely missed. I wish I'd met your father, Marcus said to Malik. Me too, sir. He would have liked you. How do you know? Because you stopped to listen. Dad always said you can tell a lot about a person by whether they listen or just wait to talk. You listened. Marcus felt tears threatening. He blinked them back. When was the last time he'd cried? He couldn't remember. I'll never forget this, Marcus said. Any of this. Any of you. Just pay it forward, sir, Malik said. That's what Dad always said. You can't pay back kindness. You can only pay it forward. The boys got on their bikes, ready to leave, ready to pedal through a blizzard to shovel snow for an elderly woman they probably weren't getting paid for either. Malik, Marcus called out. The boy turned back. Your father was right. About everything. Malik smiled, not a sad smile anymore, a real one. I know, sir. I know. And then they were gone. Three boys on bicycles disappearing into the snow, carrying with them a legacy of kindness that a dying mechanic had left behind. Marcus stood on that empty road for a full minute after the boys disappeared. The $500 was still in his hand. He looked at it. Then slowly, carefully, he folded the bills and put them back in his wallet. But his hands were shaking. He got in the Rolls-Royce, closed the door, sat there in silence. The heater hummed. Outside, snow kept falling. The world kept moving. But inside the car, Marcus felt like time had stopped. He kept seeing Malik's face, that kid 15 years old crying while talking about his dead father, but still smiling, still helping, still keeping a promise. When you help someone for money, it's just a transaction. But when you help someone for nothing, it's a connection. The words echoed in Marcus's head. He looked at the dashboard clock. 8:28 a.m. 1 hour and 2 minutes until the meeting. Marcus made it to Denver with 38 minutes to spare. The Paramount Tower rose 47 stories into the gray sky. Glass and steel, cold and perfect. just like everything else in his world. He pulled into the underground garage. A valet rushed over with an umbrella, even though they were inside. "Good morning, Mr. Wellington." Marcus didn't respond. He handed over the keys and walked to the elevator. His reflection stared back from the polished steel doors. Expensive suit, perfect hair, the face of success. But all he saw were 3 boys in torn jackets, Malik's voice echoing in his head. "That's how you measure wealth, not in dollars." The elevator climbed. Marcus watched the numbers light up. 10, 20, 30, each floor taking him higher, further from the ground, further from those boys. 47th floor. The doors opened. His assistant Patricia was waiting, tablet in hand, looking worried. "Mr. Wellington, thank God. I couldn't reach you. Mr. Chen's been here for 20 minutes already. He's getting impatient." "I'm here now," Marcus said flatly. "Are you all right? You look—" "I'm fine. Let's get this done." Patricia led him down the hall. Their footsteps echoed on marble floors. Everything here echoed. Empty. Cold. The conference room had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Denver. The city stretched out below like a game board. Buildings and streets and tiny cars, all of it looking small and far away. Richard Chen sat at the head of the table. 50 years old, silver hair, $10,000 suit, 4 lawyers flanking him like guards. Marcus. Chen stood, extending his hand. His smile didn't reach his eyes. It never did. "Cutting it close, aren't we?" Marcus shook his hand. The grip was firm, competitive. Everything was a contest with Chen. "Car trouble. In this weather, you're lucky you made it." They sat. Papers covered the table. Contracts, projections. $2.3 billion in black and white. Marcus opened his laptop. The presentation he'd spent 3 months perfecting. Every slide memorized, every number ready, but his hands felt heavy on the keyboard. "Shall we begin?" Chen said. It wasn't really a question. Marcus stood, clicked to the first slide. Rocky Mountain Hotel chain represents a significant opportunity in the hospitality sector. His voice sounded hollow, like someone else was speaking. 15 properties across 5 states, projected annual revenue of $470 million. He clicked through slides. Market analysis, growth projections, cost savings. The words came automatically. He'd practiced this speech so many times it meant nothing now. Just sounds. Just noise. Marcus looked around the room. Chen watching him with those calculating eyes. The lawyers taking notes. Patricia nodding from the doorway. Everyone here was rich. Everyone here was successful. And no one here would stop to help a stranger change a tire. "The synergies with our existing portfolio," Marcus heard himself say, "will reduce operational costs by 18% in year 1. More slides, more numbers, more meaningless words. In his mind, he saw Malik's bare hands on the lug wrench, red from cold, working without complaint, working for nothing. "Marcus." He blinked. Chen was staring at him. "Sorry. What?" "I asked about the timeline for integration." "Right, timeline." Marcus looked at his slide. The words blurred. 6 to 8 months for full integration. He finished the presentation on autopilot. When it was done, Chen stood and applauded. Slow, deliberate. "Excellent work, Marcus. Very thorough." The lawyers nodded, shuffled papers, ready for the signing. They moved to the far end of the table. Someone handed Marcus a pen. A Mont Blanc. $2,000. He'd bought it last week specifically for this moment. "Sign here," a lawyer said, pointing. "And here. Initial here." Marcus put pen to paper. His hand shook. He signed, page after page, his signature getting sloppier each time. When it was done, Chen shook his hand again. Harder this time. The grip of a winner. "Congratulations, Marcus. This is going to be very profitable for both of us." "Yes. We should celebrate. Drinks at the Capitol. My treat." Marcus looked at Chen's smile, at the lawyers packing their briefcases, at Patricia giving him a thumbs up. This was it, the moment he'd been working toward for 8 months. $2.3 billion. The deal that would cement his legacy. And he felt nothing. No, that wasn't right. He felt something. He felt empty. "Actually," Marcus said, "I need to go." Chen's smile faltered. "Go." "We just closed the biggest deal of the quarter." "I know, but I have something I need to do. Something more important than this." Marcus paused. 24 hours ago, nothing was more important than this. This deal was everything. But now he couldn't stop thinking about 3 boys who measured wealth by how many people would cry at your funeral. "Yes," Marcus said quietly, "something more important." He walked out, Left Chen standing there confused. Patricia called after him, but he didn't stop. Marcus took the stairs. All 47 floors. His legs burned. His lungs screamed, but he needed to feel something. Anything. By the time he reached the parking garage, he was breathing hard, sweating despite the cold. He got in his Rolls Royce, sat there, engine off, just sitting in the dark. The passenger seat was still wet from the snow. He could see where they'd worked, grease marks on the door frame where Malik had steadied himself, a small handprint, child-sized. Marcus put his head on the steering wheel. He'd just closed a $2.3 billion deal, the biggest of his career. His name would be in the Wall Street Journal tomorrow. His competitors would be calling jealous and congratulating him at the same time. But all he could think about was Malik's father, a mechanic who died with nothing but left everything that mattered. How many people would cry at Marcus's funeral? His assistant would probably be relieved. His competitors would pretend to be sad. His board members would worry about their stock options. But who would actually cry? Who would actually miss him? Marcus couldn't think of anyone. He pulled out his phone, typed Pinewood, Montana into the search bar. Population 2043, 42 miles from Denver. Marcus started the engine. He didn't know what he was doing, didn't know what he'd say if he found them. But he couldn't go back to New York, couldn't go back to his empty penthouse and his empty life and pretend everything was fine, because it wasn't fine. For the first time in 25 years, Marcus Wellington had everything he'd ever wanted and realized it wasn't what he needed. He drove out of the parking garage. The sky was clearing, patches of blue breaking through the gray. His phone buzzed. Patricia calling, then Chen, then 3 board members. Marcus ignored them all. He drove toward Pinewood, toward 3 boys who'd refused his money, toward something he couldn't name but desperately needed to find. The highway stretched ahead, mountains in the distance. Marcus pressed harder on the gas. Behind him, Denver disappeared, the Paramount Tower getting smaller in his rearview mirror, the city of glass and steel and empty success fading away. Ahead, somewhere in a small town he'd never heard of, until today 3 boys were probably shoveling snow for an elderly woman, not getting paid, not asking for anything, just helping because it was right. Marcus's chest felt tight, his eyes burned. He'd spent his whole life climbing, building, achieving, becoming someone important. And in 18 minutes, 3 kids on bicycles had shown him he'd been climbing the wrong mountain entirely. The deal was done. The money was his. But for the first time in his life, Marcus Wellington didn't care about the money. He cared about something else, something those boys had that he didn't, something he needed to understand before it was too late. Marcus drove faster, toward Pinewood, toward answers, toward whatever came next. The highway to Pinewood was empty. Marcus drove fast, too fast. The speedometer climbed past 80. The landscape blurred, white fields, dark trees, gray sky. His phone kept buzzing. He glanced at the screen. Patricia, where are you? Chen, Marcus, we need to discuss next steps. 3 board members, 2 investors, his lawyer. Marcus turned the phone off, threw it on the passenger seat. For the first time in his career, he didn't care about next steps, didn't care about follow-up meetings or press releases or any of it. He just drove. The sign appeared after 30 minutes. Pinewood, 10 miles. Marcus's hands tightened on the wheel. What was he doing? What was he going to say to these kids? Hey, you changed my tire and now I'm having an existential crisis. But he kept driving. The town appeared slowly. First a gas station, then a few houses scattered along the road, then Main Street. Marcus slowed down. Pinewood was small, really small. 1 stoplight, a grocery store, a hardware store, a diner called Rosie's with a faded red sign. The buildings were old, paint peeling, some windows boarded up. This was the kind of town that had seen better days and was still waiting for them to come back. Marcus pulled over in front of the diner, turned off the engine. Through the window, he could see people inside. Working folks, farmers maybe, wearing flannel and work boots, drinking coffee from thick white mugs. He looked down at his suit, his $2,000 shoes. He didn't belong here, but he got out anyway. The cold hit him immediately, colder than Denver, the kind of cold that lived in small towns and didn't leave. Marcus walked to the diner door. His hand hesitated on the handle. What if they weren't here? What if he'd driven all this way for nothing? He pushed the door open. A bell rang above his head. Everyone turned to look. The diner went quiet. 10 pairs of eyes staring at him, at his suit, at his shoes. At everything about him that screamed outsider. Marcus stood frozen in the doorway. Then he saw them. Corner booth, 3 boys, Malik, Jamal, and Deshaun, sitting over plates of burgers and fries, talking and laughing. Malik looked up. His eyes went wide. The tire guy. The diner stayed quiet, everyone watching. Marcus walked over. His shoes clicked on the old linoleum floor. Each step felt like a mile. "Hi," Marcus said when he reached their booth. "Hey," Malik said, surprised. "Your car okay?" "Yeah, thanks to you." The 3 boys looked at each other, confused. "What are you doing here?" Jamal asked. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it. What was he doing here? "I don't know," he said honestly. Deshaun grinned. "You drove all the way back here, and you don't know why?" I needed to talk to you, to thank you properly." "You already tried to thank us," Malik said. "We told you we didn't need your money." "I know, but Marcus looked around. Everyone was still staring. "Can we talk somewhere private?" The boys exchanged glances again, some silent conversation Marcus wasn't part of. "Okay," Malik said finally, "but we gotta finish our food first. You want something?" Marcus looked at their plates. Cheap diner burgers, maybe $5 each. The kind of meal he hadn't eaten in 20 years. "Sure," he said. Malik scooted over. Marcus sat down. The vinyl booth was cracked. Duct tape held one corner together. A waitress appeared, 60 years old, tired eyes. Name tag said Betty. "What'll it be, honey? Coffee, black, and whatever they're having." Betty looked at his suit, raised an eyebrow. But she didn't say anything, just wrote it down and walked away. Marcus sat there. The boys ate their burgers. Nobody spoke. The diner slowly went back to normal. Conversation started up again. The moment passed. "So," Deshaun said through a mouthful of fries, "did you make your meeting?" "Yeah." "That's good. Was it important?" Marcus thought about the contracts, the signatures, the $2.3 billion. "I thought it was," he said. Jamal pushed his glasses up. "What does that mean?" "It means—" Marcus stopped. How did he explain this? "It means I signed the biggest deal of my career this morning, made more money than most people see in a lifetime, and I drove here instead of celebrating." The boys stared at him. "Why?" Malik asked. "Because you 3 refused $500, because you helped me for nothing. Because—" Marcus's voice got quieter. "Because I can't stop thinking about what you said, about your father, about measuring wealth." Betty returned with his coffee and burger, set them down without a word. Marcus wrapped his hands around the hot mug. The warmth felt good. "Your father," Marcus said, looking at Malik, "sounds like he understood something I've spent my whole life missing." "What's that? What actually matters?" The words hung in the air. Malik put down his burger. "You drove 42 miles to tell us that. I drove 42 miles because I don't know what else to do." Deshaun laughed. Not mean, just surprised. "Man, you're weird." "Deshaun," Jamal said. "What he is. Rich dudes don't usually come back to talk to kids in diners." "He's right," Marcus said. "I am weird. At least I'm starting to think I've been doing everything wrong." Malik studied him, really looked at him, like he was trying to figure something out. "You want to help?" Malik said. It wasn't a question. "Yes. We told you we don't need money." "I know, but there has to be something I can do." The 3 boys looked at each other again. That silent conversation. Finally, Malik spoke. "There might be something." "What?" "It's not for us, though." "I don't care." "What is it?" Malik hesitated. "There's this community center in town, Pinewood Youth Center. We go there after school. A lot of kids do." "Okay." "It's falling apart," Jamal said. "Like really falling apart. The roof leaks, the heating barely works. The playground equipment is so old it's dangerous." "They've been trying to raise money to fix it," Deshaun added. "But it's a small town. People don't have much to give." Marcus leaned forward. "How much do they need?" "I don't know. A lot, probably." "Can you show me?" The boys looked surprised. "You want to see it?" Malik asked. "Yes, right now. If that's okay." Malik looked at his friends. Jamal shrugged. Deshaun nodded. "Okay," Malik said. "It's only a few blocks from here." Marcus pulled out his wallet, put a 50 on the table for the food. "That's way too much," Jamal said. "Betty probably hasn't had a tip like that in a while," Marcus said. "Let her have it." They walked out of the diner. The cold felt sharper now, the wind picking up again. The boys led him down Main Street, past the hardware store, past a laundromat, past empty storefronts with "for rent" signs in the windows. 5 blocks. That's all it took to walk the entire length of Pinewoods downtown. They turned onto a side street, and there it was, Pinewood Youth Center. Marcus stopped walking. The building was one story, brick. The paint was faded and peeling. The roof had visible patches, tarps, and plywood covering holes. The front steps were cracked. One window was covered with cardboard. A sign hung crooked by the door. Pinewood Youth Center, S. 1967. 58 years old, and it looked like it might not make it to 59. It's worse than I thought, Marcus said quietly. Yeah, Malik said, but it's all we've got. It's where we go after school, where we do homework, where we hang out when it's too cold to be outside. How many kids use it? Maybe 80, 90? A lot of them are from single-parent homes. This place is kind of like, I don't know, a safe place. Marcus walked closer. The playground was behind the building. He could see it through a chain-link fence. Old swing set, the chains rusted. A slide with a crack down the middle. A jungle gym missing half its bars. Can we go inside? Marcus asked. If Miss Patricia's here, Jamal said. She runs the place. They walked to the door. Malik knocked. A moment later it opened. A black woman stood there. 50s maybe. Tired eyes, but a warm smile. She wore a thick sweater and fingerless gloves. Boys, she said. Then she saw Marcus. Oh, hello. Miss Patricia, this is... Malik hesitated. I don't even know your name. Marcus, he said, extending his hand. Marcus Wellington. Patricia shook it. Her hand was cold, even through his. Is the heat not working? Marcus asked. Patricia smiled sadly. Not since Tuesday. Furnace is old, needs to be replaced. We're using space heaters, but they barely help. Can I see inside? Patricia looked at him, at his expensive suit, his perfect shoes, trying to figure out what this man wanted. Sure, she said finally. Come in. Marcus stepped inside and saw exactly what these boys and this town needed. The inside of Pinewood Youth Center was colder than outside. Marcus could see his breath. His expensive wool coat suddenly felt inadequate. Patricia led them through the entrance hall, her fingerless gloves stark against the dim lighting. We're trying to keep the main room warm, she explained, pushing open a door. That's where most of the kids are. The main room was large, maybe 40 feet by 60. Folding tables scattered throughout, mismatched chairs, old couches with springs poking through, and kids, dozens of them. Some did homework, others drew. A group in the corner played cards. They all wore jackets, hats, gloves. Inside, 3 space heaters glowed orange in different corners. Marcus could hear them humming, working overtime, barely making a dent in the cold. How long has the heat been out? Marcus asked. This time, 5 days. Patricia wrapped her sweater tighter. But it's been breaking down all winter. The furnace is from 1985. We've fixed it probably 20 times. Last week, the repair guy said it's done. Needs to be replaced completely. Marcus looked around. Water stains on the ceiling. Brown patches spreading like maps. In one corner, a bucket caught drips from a leak. The roof, too. The roof. The heating. The plumbing. The electrical. Patricia's voice was tired but steady. She'd said these words before. Probably to anyone who'd listen. The whole building needs work. A small girl, maybe 8 years old, walked up to Patricia. She wore a pink coat with a broken zipper. Miss Patricia, the bathroom sink isn't working again. Which one, sweetie? The girl's room. Patricia sighed. Okay, use the one in the office for now. The girl nodded and ran off. Let me show you the rest, Patricia said. They walked through the building. Each room worse than the last. The computer lab had 6 computers, all of them from 2008. Marcus could see the dust, the yellowed plastic. 3 had out-of-order signs taped to them. We used to have 12, Patricia said, but they died one by one. No money to replace them. The library was next, shelves half empty. The books that remained were falling apart. Torn covers, missing pages, copyright dates from the 1970s and 80s. The county used to send us books, Patricia explained, but budget cuts. They haven't sent anything in 3 years. Malik spoke up. I learned to read here when I was 6. Me too, Jamal said. Same, Deshaun added. Marcus looked at the boys, then at the sad little library that had given them one of the most important gifts in life. The gym was small. 1 basketball hoop, no net. The backboard was cracked. The floor was wood, but warped from water damage. In some places, you could see the concrete underneath. We can't use it when it rains, Patricia said. Water comes through the roof, takes days to dry. The kitchen was last. Old appliances, a refrigerator that hummed too loud. a stove with only 2 working burners, cabinets that didn't close right. We used to serve dinner 3 times a week, Patricia said. Hot meals for kids who might not get them at home. But we had to stop 6 months ago. Can't afford the food, can barely afford to keep the lights on. They walked back to the main room. Marcus stood in the doorway watching the kids. They were laughing, playing, doing homework, making the best of what they had. How many kids come here? Marcus asked. On a good day, 80, sometimes 90. And they're all from Pinewood. Most of them. Some from the surrounding area. A lot are from single-parent homes, parents working 2-3 jobs. Kids come here after school, so they're not home alone. We keep them safe. Give them a place to be. Marcus turned to her. What happens if this place closes? Patricia's face went hard. Not angry, just determined. It won't close. But if the building is falling apart, then I'll hold it up with my bare hands if I have to. Her voice was steel. These kids need this place. Some of them, this is the only stable thing in their lives, the only place they feel safe. I won't let it close. Marcus believed her. This woman would fight until there was nothing left to fight with. How much? Marcus asked. What? How much money do you need to fix everything? Patricia laughed. It came out bitter. You want the honest number or the number I tell people so they don't walk away. The honest number. She pulled a phone from her pocket. Old iPhone cracked screen. Pulled up a document. Handed it to Marcus. He looked at the spreadsheet. It was detailed, organized. Every repair itemized with cost estimates. New roof and structural repairs, $150, 000. New heating and cooling system, $65, 000. Electrical upgrades, $35, 000. Plumbing repairs, $25, 000. New computers and equipment, $40, 000. Kitchen appliances and renovation, $30, 000. Playground equipment, $45, 000. Operating costs, for 1 year, $50, 000. Total $440, 000. Marcus stared at the number. We've been fundraising for 2 years, Patricia said quietly. We've raised $23,000. It's not enough to fix anything major. Just keeps us limping along. $23,000 in 2 years, Marcus repeated. This is a small town, Mr. Wellington. People here don't have much. They give what they can. $5, $10, whatever they can spare. But it's not enough. It'll never be enough. Marcus handed back her phone. His hand was shaking slightly. $440, 000. 2 years ago, he'd spent more than that on a weekend vacation in Monaco. Last month, he'd bought a watch for $300, 000, because it was rare. And this woman had spent 2 years scraping together $23, 000, to keep a building from collapsing on 80 kids who had nowhere else to go. Can I sit down? Marcus asked. Of course. Patricia led him to one of the worn couches. Marcus sat. The springs poked him through the cushion. He didn't care. The 3 boys sat nearby, watching him, waiting. A group of kids ran past laughing. One of them bumped Marcus's knee. Sorry, mister. It's okay, Marcus said. He watched them go, watched them disappear into another room, their laughter echoing. Mr. Wellington, Patricia said. Are you all right? Marcus realized his eyes were burning. He blinked hard. I closed a deal this morning, he said. $2.3 billion. Patricia's eyes widened. So did the boys. That's a lot of money, Patricia said carefully. It is. It's more money than I know what to do with. And you know what I felt when I signed the papers. What? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Marcus looked at her. But I come here. I see this place. I see these kids. And I feel everything. Patricia sat down next to him. Why did you come to Pinewood, Mr. Wellington? Really? Marcus looked at Malik, at Jamal, at Deshawn. These 3 boys fixed my tire this morning, in a blizzard. I offered them $500. They refused. Of course they did, Patricia said softly. Why, of course? Because their parents taught them right, Malik's father especially. She smiled at Malik. James Davis was the best man I ever knew. He helped build this center. Volunteered here every Saturday for 15 years. Malik's eyes got bright. He fixed things, Patricia continued. Painted walls, repaired equipment, never asked for a penny. When he died, we all cried for days. This whole town did. Marcus felt something break in his chest. These boys learned from him, Patricia said. They come here twice a week, help clean, play with the younger kids, tutor them in math. They're good boys. The kind of boys that make you believe the world might be okay after all. Marcus looked at Malik. You didn't tell me you volunteered here. Malik shrugged. You didn't ask. What else don't I know? Jamal spoke up. Deshaun tutors the little kids in reading every Tuesday. I help with homework on Thursdays. Malik fixes things like his dad did. And none of you get paid. Why would we? Deshaun asked. This place gave us so much. It's just giving back. Marcus stood up, walked to the window. Outside, he could see the broken playground, snow covering the rusted equipment. He thought about his penthouse in Manhattan, 15,000 square feet, views of Central Park, worth $30 million, empty except for him. He thought about his garage, 5 cars, each one worth more than most people's houses, cars he barely drove. He thought about his watch collection, his art, his wine cellar with bottles he'd never drink, all of it meaning nothing. Mr. Wellington, Patricia said. Marcus turned around. I'll pay for it, he said. Pay for what? All of it. The roof, the heating, the computers, the playground, everything on your list. Patricia's mouth fell open. You... What? I'll cover the full renovation. $440,000. The boys stood up. Are you serious? Malik asked. I'm serious. But that's so much money, Patricia whispered. It's nothing. Marcus's voice was firm. It's nothing compared to what this place is worth, what you're worth, what these kids are worth. Patricia put her hand over her mouth, her eyes filled with tears. Why? She asked. Why would you do this? Marcus looked at the 3 boys. Because this morning I learned what it means to be rich. And it has nothing to do with money in a bank account. It has everything to do with this. With helping. With connecting. With making someone's life better. A tear rolled down Patricia's cheek. These boys, Marcus continued, they refused my money because they wanted to honor their father's memory, because he taught them that kindness isn't a transaction, it's a connection, and I want to be part of that. I want to connect. I want to help. I want to be the kind of person who makes the world better, not just richer. Patricia stood up, walked to Marcus, and hugged him. She was crying now, really crying. Thank you, she sobbed into his shoulder. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Marcus hugged her back. He couldn't remember the last time he'd hugged someone who wasn't trying to get something from him. The boys stood there stunned. Kids in the room were staring now, wondering what was happening. Patricia pulled back, wiping her eyes. I'm sorry. We've been trying so hard for so long. I thought we were going to lose this place. I thought... You're not going to lose it, Marcus said firmly. I promise you, this place will be here for these kids. And for the next generation. And the one after that. Malik stepped forward. Mr. Wellington, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. You already taught me everything I needed to know. We just fixed your tire. No, Marcus said. You fixed a lot more than that. Deshaun was grinning. Jamal was crying behind his taped-up glasses. When can you start? Patricia asked, her voice shaking with hope. I'll make calls tomorrow. Get contractors out here. Best ones I can find. We'll have this place fixed up in, Marcus thought. 2 months, maybe 3, but we'll do it right. I can't believe this is happening, Patricia whispered. A little girl tugged on Patricia's sleeve, the same one from before. Miss Patricia, why are you crying? Patricia laughed and cried at the same time. She knelt down to the girl's level. I'm crying because something wonderful just happened, sweetie. What happened? Patricia looked up at Marcus. An angel showed up. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Nobody had ever called him an angel before. He'd been called ruthless, brilliant, cutthroat, never an angel. I'm not an angel, Marcus said. I'm just a guy who's been doing everything wrong and finally figured it out. More kids were gathering now, sensing something important was happening. Is the heat gonna work? One boy asked hopefully. Yes, Patricia said, laughing through tears. The heat's gonna work. And the roof. Yes. And we can play on the playground again. Yes, baby. All of it. Everything. The kids erupted in cheers. They jumped and shouted and hugged each other. Marcus watched them. These kids who had so little celebrating, like they'd won the lottery. And in a way they had. But so had he. Marcus Wellington had spent 25 years chasing success, building an empire, climbing higher and higher until he could look down on the world. But these 3 boys on bicycles had shown him something his Stanford education never could. The view was better from down here, among real people, helping, connecting, being human. Malik walked over to him. My dad would have really liked you, he said quietly. Marcus felt tears threatening again. I wish I could have met him. Maybe you did, Malik said. In a way. Through us. He's still here. In what he taught us. In what we're teaching you. Marcus smiled. He raised a wise son. He raised a son who knows that being rich isn't about money. It's about this. Malik gestured around the room. At the celebrating kids. At Patricia crying happy tears. At his two best friends grinning like idiots. Yeah, Marcus said softly. It's about this. And for the first time in his life, Marcus Wellington understood what it meant to be truly wealthy. Marcus stayed in Pinewood that night. Not at a hotel, there wasn't one. He stayed at the Pine Motel, a small place on the edge of town. $25 a night. The heater rattled. The mattress sagged. The TV only got 3 channels. It was perfect. He lay in bed that night staring at the water-stained ceiling and couldn't stop smiling. His phone was still off. He didn't care about the messages piling up. Didn't care about the deals waiting. Didn't care about any of it. For the first time in years, Marcus Wellington slept soundly. The next morning, he was up at 6. Made calls. Lots of calls. David Marcus Wellington, I need the best construction crew you've got. Montana. Small town called Pinewood. Yes, I know it's short notice. Double their usual rate. Triple it if you have to. I need them there by Monday. Another call. Jennifer, I need you to source new computers. 15 of them. Top of the line, but kid-friendly. Educational software included. Yes, for a school. Community center, actually. Have them delivered to Pinewood, Montana by next Friday. Another call. Tom, it's Marcus. I need playground equipment. Commercial grade. Safe. Colorful. The works. Budget. There is no budget. Just make it amazing. Call after call after call. By 9 a.m., Marcus had set everything in motion. Contractors, equipment suppliers, electricians, plumbers, all the best people he knew, all heading to Pinewood. He walked back to the community center. The cold morning air felt clean, crisp. Patricia was already there, unlocking the front door. Mr. Wellington, she said, surprised. You're up early. Couldn't sleep. Too excited, she smiled. Come in. Coffee's about to brew. Inside, Marcus watched as kids started arriving. Dropped off by parents heading to work, walking in groups, coming on bikes like Malik Jamal and Deshaun did. They all looked cold. All wore old coats. Some had holes in their gloves, but they were smiling. Happy to be here. This place is their second home, Patricia said, watching them. For some of them, it's better than their first home. How long have you been running this place? Marcus asked. 12 years. Started as a volunteer. Then the old director retired and I took over. Haven't looked back since. You love it. With everything I have. Patricia poured 2 cups of coffee, handed one to Marcus. The mug had a chip on the rim. These kids, Mr. Wellington, they're everything to me. I never had children of my own, but I have 80 of them now. Marcus sipped the coffee. It was terrible. Weak and bitter. He loved it. The 3 boys arrived around 9:30. Malik saw Marcus and stopped. You're still here? Of course. We have work to do. Work. I need your help, all 3 of you. If you're willing. The boys looked at each other. Jamal pushed his glasses up. What kind of help? I've got contractors coming Monday, but I don't know this place like you do. I need you to show them everything. Every leak, every crack, every problem. Can you do that? Malik nodded slowly. Yeah, we can do that. Good. Also, I need your opinion on the playground equipment. What do kids here actually want to play on? Deshaun's eyes lit up. You're asking us, who better you know these kids? I don't. Man, Deshaun said, grinning, this is wild. Patricia emerged from the office with a worn notebook. I've been making lists all night. Every repair we need, every upgrade. I couldn't stop thinking about it. She handed the notebook to Marcus, pages and pages of notes, detailed, organized. Years of watching this building fall apart, all documented. This is perfect, Marcus said. I was thinking, Patricia said carefully, about the kitchen. If we could get it working again, we could restart the meal program. Tuesday and Thursday dinners. Nothing fancy. Just hot food for kids who need it. Do it. But the cost. Patricia. Marcus looked at her. Money isn't the issue anymore. If these kids need hot meals, they get hot meals. What else? Patricia's eyes watered. A new library. Real books, current books. Maybe even some computers in there so kids can read ebooks too. Done. What else? Art supplies. We used to have an art program, but we couldn't afford materials anymore. You'll have materials. Best quality. What else? Patricia laughed, wiping her eyes. I feel like I'm dreaming. You're not. This is real. This is happening. What else do these kids need? The boys had been listening quietly. Malik spoke up. Coats, he said. Marcus turned to him. Coats. A lot of kids here, their coats are old, too small, full of holes. Winter in Montana is brutal. I don't know. Maybe we could have a coat closet free coats for any kid who needs one. Marcus felt his chest tighten. Yes, absolutely yes. And gloves, Jamal added, and hats, and boots. All of it, Marcus said firmly. Make a list. Everything these kids need. We'll get it. Deshaun looked at Patricia. Miss Patricia, remember how the van broke down, the one we used for field trips? The transmission died 6 months ago, Patricia explained. We had to sell it for scrap. Now, we can't take the kids anywhere. New van, Marcus said. Big enough for everyone. What else? For the next hour, they made lists. Marcus typed everything into his phone. Every need, every want, every dream these people had for this place. By 11, the list was 3 pages long. This is going to cost way more than $440,000, Patricia said nervously. I don't care. But Mr. Wellington, call me Marcus, please. Patricia smiled. Marcus, this is so generous. But you don't have to do all this. Yes, I do. Marcus's voice was firm. I've spent 25 years making money. Now I want to spend some of it on something that actually matters. A crash came from the main room. All of them rushed out. A section of ceiling had fallen. Not much. Maybe 3 feet of drywall and insulation. It had missed the kids by several feet, but everyone was scared. A little boy was crying. A girl hugged him, trying to calm him down. Patricia ran over. Is anyone hurt? No, Miss Patricia, the girl said, but it was really loud. Marcus looked up at the hole in the ceiling. Through it, he could see the sky. The roof was worse than he thought. That's it, Marcus said. Everyone out, now. What? Patricia turned to him. This building isn't safe. That ceiling could have hit someone. We're closing this place down until the renovations are done. But the kids need somewhere to go. I know. Give me a few hours. Marcus was already pulling out his phone. I'll figure something out. He stepped outside, made more calls. 20 minutes later, he walked back in. Okay, I talked to Pastor James at Pinewood Community Church. They're opening their basement to you. Free of charge. It's warm. It's safe. You can use it until this place is fixed. Patricia stared. Pastor James agreed to that. I may have mentioned I'd donate $50,000 to the church's food bank. Marcus, these kids need a safe place. Now they have one. He looked around at the children. Some still looked scared from the ceiling collapse. Let's get everyone moved over there. Today. The rest of the day was chaos. Good chaos. Malik, Jamal, and Deshaun helped organize the kids. Patricia coordinated with the church. Marcus paid for pizza, 30 pizzas from the only pizza place in town. The owner was shocked by the order. By evening, the community center was empty. Everything important had been moved to the church basement. Marcus stood in the empty building one last time, looking at the water stains, the cracks, the holes. We're going to make you beautiful again, he said to the building. To no one. To everyone. His phone buzzed. He'd turned it back on an hour ago. 73 messages, 12 voicemails. He scrolled through them. Patricia, Chen, board members, investors, all wanting to know where he was, what he was doing, why he'd disappeared. Marcus typed a message to his assistant. Taking a leave of absence, 2 months, maybe 3. Cancel everything. I'll explain later. He hit send before he could second-guess it. Another message. This one to his lawyer. Set up a foundation. The Davis Family Foundation. Endowment of $20 million. Purpose supporting community centers and youth programs in small towns. Start with Pinewood. I'll send details tomorrow. Send. Marcus looked at his phone. At his old life contained in this device. All those emails. All those deals. All that emptiness. He turned it off again. Malik walked up. You okay? Yeah, Marcus said. Better than okay. What you're doing here, it's amazing. What your father did was amazing. I'm just finally learning the lesson. They walked outside together. The sun was setting. The sky turned orange and pink. Beautiful. Can I ask you something? Malik said. Anything. Why are you really doing this? I mean, I'm grateful. We all are. But you don't know us. You don't know this town. Why do you care so much? Marcus thought about it. Really thought. Because yesterday morning, I had everything, he said slowly. Money, power, success, everything I'd ever wanted, and I was miserable. I was empty. I'd spent so long climbing that I forgot why I was climbing in the first place. He looked at Malik. Then you three showed up, in a blizzard, and helped me for nothing. And your father's words about measuring wealth by who cries at your funeral, it broke something open in me, made me see what I'd become, what I'd lost. What had you lost? My humanity, Marcus said quietly. I'd turned into a machine. Everything was a transaction. Everyone wanted something from me, or I wanted something from them. There was no real connection, no real kindness, just business. A cold wind blew. Marcus didn't mind it anymore. But you three, he continued, you gave me something without wanting anything back. You showed me that people like your father still exist, that kindness still exists, that there's still good in this world. And I want to be part of that good. I want to be someone who gives, who helps, who connects. Malik smiled. My dad used to say that the best moment in life is when you stop taking and start giving. He was right. They stood in silence for a moment, the sky getting darker, stars starting to appear. He'd be proud of you, Marcus said. Your father. Very proud. Thanks, Malik said softly. That means everything. Patricia walked out, locking the church basement door. The kids had all gone home. It had been a long day. Marcus, where are you staying tonight? She asked. The Pine Motel. That place is awful. It's perfect. Patricia laughed. You're a strange man, Marcus Wellington. I'm working on being a better man. Strange is part of the process. Jamal and Deshawn emerged from the church. All 5 of them stood there in the parking lot. So Monday the contractors arrive, Jamal asked. Monday, Marcus confirmed, and I'll be here to supervise. Make sure everything is done right. You're staying in Pinewood, Deshawn asked, surprised. For as long as it takes. This is my project now. My purpose. I'm not leaving until it's finished. The boys looked at each other, then at Marcus. You're really serious about this, Malik said. More serious than I've been about anything in my life. Patricia smiled. Then welcome to Pinewood, Marcus. Welcome home. Home. Marcus turned the word over in his mind. He had a penthouse in Manhattan worth $30 million, but it had never felt like home. This place, this small town in Montana with its broken buildings and struggling people and beautiful hearts, this felt like home. Thank you, Marcus said, for letting me be part of this. Thank you, Patricia said, for being exactly what we needed. They said their goodbyes, made plans for Monday. Then everyone went their separate ways. Marcus drove back to the Pine Motel. The vacancy sign flickered. The parking lot had 3 cars. He went inside his room, sat on the sagging bed, looked around at the peeling wallpaper and the rattling heater, and smiled. Tomorrow, the real work would begin, fixing the community center, helping these kids, building something that mattered. But tonight, Marcus Wellington, billionaire CEO, ruthless businessman, felt something he hadn't felt in 25 years. Peace. Real, genuine peace. He lay back on the uncomfortable mattress and stared at the ceiling. Somewhere in Manhattan, his old life was waiting. Board meetings, acquisitions, deals worth billions. But Marcus was done with that life. He'd found something better. He'd found purpose. And he was never going back. 2 months later, Marcus stood in the parking lot of Pinewood Youth Center watching the sun rise over Montana. The building behind him looked completely different. New roof, dark shingles that gleamed in the early light. No more tarps, no more patches, just solid weatherproof protection. Fresh paint. The brick had been cleaned and repainted a warm beige color. The trim was forest green. It looked alive again. New windows. All of them. Clear glass that actually kept the cold out. And inside, Marcus smiled. Just thinking about it inside was even better. Coffee. Marcus turned. Patricia stood there holding 2 steaming mugs. She looked different too. Less tired. The constant worry that had lived in her eyes for years was gone. Thanks, Marcus said, taking a cup. They stood together in silence, watching the sunrise. I still can't believe it's done, Patricia said softly. Believe it. 2 months. You did all this in 2 months. Marcus shrugged. I had good help. And unlimited budget helps too. It's more than that. You were here every single day, working alongside the contractors, getting your hands dirty. I've never seen anything like it. It was true. Marcus had stayed in Pinewood the entire 2 months, working, planning, helping. He'd swung hammers, painted walls, carried supplies. His expensive suits stayed in his Range Rover untouched. He lived in jeans and work boots now. His hands, which had only ever signed contracts, now had calluses. He loved it. Today's the big day, Patricia said. The kids come back. Are you nervous? Terrified. What if they don't like it? Marcus laughed. They're going to lose their minds. A truck pulled into the parking lot, then another, and another. Malik, Jamal, and Deshaun got out of the third truck, Malik's uncle's vehicle. The boys had been here every day, too. After school, weekends, helping however they could. They'd painted the entire rec room themselves. It had taken them a week. Morning, Malik called out. Morning, Marcus replied. Ready for the unveiling. Been ready for weeks, Deshaun said, grinning. More people arrived, volunteers from town, parents, teachers. Word had spread about what Marcus was doing. People wanted to help. They'd shown up with food for the workers, with supplies, with their time. Pinewood had embraced Marcus, this stranger who'd appeared out of nowhere and decided to stay. At 8 a.m., Patricia unlocked the front door. Want to do one last walkthrough before the kids arrive? She asked Marcus. Yeah, let's do it. They went inside. The entrance hall took Marcus's breath away every time. New floors, polished wood that gleamed. The walls were painted a soft yellow, bright, welcoming. Artwork from the kids hung in frames, real frames not taped to the walls. A new sign hung above the main room entrance, James Davis Memorial Hall. Malik had cried when he saw it. They walked into the main room. It was completely transformed. New furniture, comfortable couches, study tables with proper chairs, bean bags in the corner. Everything was colorful, inviting, warm. The heating worked. God did it work. Radiant floor heating, energy efficient. The temperature was perfect. The kids won't have to wear jackets inside anymore, Patricia said, her voice thick with emotion. The computer lab was next. 15 brand new computers, large monitors, fast processors, educational software installed on every machine, high-speed internet Marcus had paid to have fiber optic run to the building. They can do anything on these computers, Marcus said. Research, college applications, learn coding, whatever they need. The library made Patricia cry. Again. She'd cried at least once a day for 2 months. New shelves, hundreds of new books, current books, diverse books, books about science, history, adventure, fantasy. A reading nook with comfortable chairs, soft lighting. It looked like something from a magazine. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Patricia whispered. The gym floor was completely redone, new basketball hoops with actual nets. The walls were painted with a mural mountains and forests and kids playing. Local artist. Marcus had commissioned it. The kitchen gleamed. New appliances, industrial refrigerator, 6-burner stove, double ovens, enough to cook meals for 100 kids. We start serving dinners again next week, Patricia said. Tuesday and Thursday, just like old times. Better than old times, Marcus corrected. The bathrooms were updated. New fixtures, fresh paint. Everything worked. Everything was clean and bright. They walked back to the entrance. Marcus checked his watch. 8:45. They'll be here soon, he said. Patricia nodded. She looked nervous, excited, terrified, all at once. Marcus, she said quietly, how can we ever thank you? You don't have to thank me. But we do. You've given these kids so much. You've given this town so much. You've given me, her voice broke. You've given me hope again. Marcus felt his own throat tighten. You gave me something more important. You gave me purpose. Before I came here, I was rich and empty. Now I'm still rich, but I'm full. That's priceless. A car pulled up outside, then another, then 5 more. They're here, Jamal said from the doorway. Marcus and Patricia walked outside. Cars and trucks filled the parking lot. Families poured out, kids of all ages, parents, grandparents. It seemed like the whole town had shown up. The kids stared at the building, mouths open, eyes wide. Is that really the center? A little girl asked her mother. That's really it, baby. The crowd gathered in front of the main entrance, 80 kids, 30 parents. More people kept arriving. Patricia stepped forward. Someone handed her a microphone. They'd set up a small PA system for this. Good morning, everyone, Patricia said. Her voice shook slightly. Good morning, Miss Patricia, the kids shouted back. As you can see, we've been busy these last 2 months. Laughter rippled through the crowd. And it's all thanks to one very special person, Mr. Marcus Wellington. Everyone turned to look at Marcus. He felt his face get hot. 2 months ago, Patricia continued, Marcus drove into Pinewood and decided to change our lives. He funded a complete renovation of this center. Not because he had to, not because we asked, but because 3 boys showed him what kindness looks like. She gestured to Malik, Jamal, and Deshaun. They looked embarrassed and proud at the same time. Marcus stayed here for 2 months, worked alongside the contractors, got his hands dirty, became part of our community, and today we get to see what love and generosity can build." The crowd applauded. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. He wasn't used to this kind of attention. Not for good things, anyway. "I want to say something," Malik said, stepping forward. Patricia handed him the microphone. Malik's voice was steady, strong. "A lot of you knew my dad, James Davis. He taught me that the richest people aren't the ones with the most money. They're the ones who help the most people. Mr. Wellington, you've helped all of us. You've honored my father's memory, and I want you to know." His voice cracked. "Dad would have been proud to call you a friend." Marcus felt tears burning his eyes. He blinked hard, but they came anyway. The crowd erupted in applause. Real applause from the heart. "Okay," Patricia said, laughing and crying at the same time. "Let's go see your new center." She cut a ribbon that Malik held across the doorway. The kids cheered and rushed inside. Marcus stayed outside for a moment, watching them go, listening to their gasps of amazement, their shouts of joy. A hand touched his shoulder. He turned. An older man stood there. Late 60s, work-worn hands, kind eyes. "You're Marcus?" "Yes. I'm Joe Davis, Malik's uncle, James's brother." Marcus's breath caught. "It's an honor to meet you." "I wanted to thank you," Joe said. "My brother died trying to help people. That's what killed him, working himself to death for others. And I was angry for a long time, angry at him for leaving us, for not thinking about his own family." He paused, looked at the building. "But seeing this," Joe continued, "seeing what his lessons did, how they inspired his son, how they inspired you, I understand now. James didn't die for nothing. His kindness didn't end with him. It multiplied, through Malik, through you, through all of this." The old man's eyes were wet. "Thank you for honoring my brother. Thank you for showing these kids that goodness still exists in the world." Marcus couldn't speak. He just nodded. Joe shook his hand firmly, then walked inside. "You coming?" Patricia called from the doorway. Marcus wiped his eyes. "Yeah, coming." Inside was chaos, beautiful chaos. Kids ran everywhere, touching everything, testing the new computers, jumping on the beanbags, running their hands along the books in the library. In the gym, a group was already shooting hoops. The ball swished through the new nets. Perfect. A little boy, maybe 7 years old, tugged on Marcus's sleeve. "Mr. Marcus knelt down. "Yeah, buddy. Did you really build all this?" "I helped. A lot of people helped." "Why?" The question was so simple, so honest. "Because every kid deserves a safe place to learn and play and grow, and you deserve the best." The boy smiled, missing both front teeth. "Thank you." He ran off to join his friends. Marcus stood up, looked around at the chaos, the joy, the life filling this building. Jamal appeared next to him. "You did good, Mr. Wellington." "We did good," Marcus corrected. "Yeah," Jamal said, smiling. "We did." Deshaun ran over. "Mr. Wellington, you got to see the playground. It's insane." They went outside to the back of the building. The playground was Marcus's favorite part. Brand new equipment, a massive climbing structure with slides and bridges, swings, both regular and accessible swings for kids with disabilities, a merry-go-round, monkey bars, a sandbox, all of it colorful and safe and perfect. Kids were already playing. Their laughter filled the cold air. A girl went down the slide squealing with delight. At the bottom, she looked up at Marcus. "Again, I'm going again." She ran back up, went down again. Pure joy. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. This was what it was all about. Not the money, not the deals, not the success. This, making people happy, making lives better, connecting. Malik stood beside him. "My dad always said playgrounds are where kids learn to be human. They learn to share, to take turns, to help each other, to be brave. Your dad was a wise man, the wisest." They watched the kids play for a while. The sun climbed higher. The temperature rose slightly. Not warm, but not bitter either. Patricia came outside carrying a large box. "Marcus, can you help me with something?" "Sure." She led him back inside to the entrance hall, set the box down. "I had something made," she said. "For you, for this place, so no one ever forgets what you did here." She pulled out a bronze plaque, shined and polished, engraved with words, "Pinewood Youth Center renovated 2025 through the generosity of Marcus Wellington and in memory of James Davis, who taught us that true wealth is measured in lives changed, not dollars earned." Below the words was an image, a man fixing a car, 3 boys watching and learning. Simple, beautiful. "We're mounting it right here," Patricia said, pointing to the wall by the entrance, "so everyone who comes in sees it, remembers it." Marcus read the plaque again. His name next to James's, together. I don't deserve this, he said quietly. You deserve it more than anyone. They mounted the plaque together, used a level to make sure it was straight. When it was done, Marcus stepped back and looked at it. His name, on a wall, in a small town in Montana, meaning something real. This was better than any magazine cover, any business award, any recognition he'd ever received. This meant something. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Marcus. The rest of the day was a celebration. Parents brought food. Someone brought a speaker and played music. Kids danced in the rec room. Adults talked and laughed. Marcus found himself surrounded by people wanting to meet him, to thank him, to shake his hand. The owner of the hardware store. If you need anything at all, you let me know. First-time customer discount, 50% off. The teacher from the elementary school. My students want to write you thank you cards. Would that be okay? The pastor from the church. You're welcome at service any Sunday. We'd be honored to have you. One by one, the town embraced him. As evening fell, the crowd started to thin. Families went home for dinner. The center slowly emptied. Marcus, Patricia, and the three boys sat on the new playground equipment, watching the sunset, exhausted but happy. I can't believe it's done, Deshawn said. It's not done, Marcus replied. This is just the beginning. What do you mean? Malik asked. I mean, I've set up a foundation, $20 million, to support places like this all over the country, small towns that need help, kids who deserve better. The boys stared at him. 20 million, Jamal whispered. 20 million. And Patricia, I want you to help run it. Identify communities that need support. You know what struggling centers look like. You know what they need. Patricia's hand went to her mouth. Marcus, I can't. Yes, you can. You've run this place on nothing for 12 years. Imagine what you could do with real resources. You could change hundreds of lives, thousands. She was crying again. This is too much. It's not enough. It'll never be enough. But it's a start. They sat in silence for a moment. The sky turned orange and pink. Your father would be proud, Marcus said to Malik, of all of this. Of you. Of what you started that day on the road. We just fixed a tire, Malik said. No, Marcus said firmly. You fixed a man. You fixed me. And now I get to help fix things for others. That's your father's legacy. Kindness that multiplies. Help that spreads. Love that grows. The sun touched the horizon. The first stars appeared. Thank you, Malik said softly. For everything. Thank you, Marcus replied, for showing me what really matters. They sat there until dark, watching the stars come out one by one. And Marcus Wellington, former billionaire businessman, current part-time carpenter, and full-time humanitarian, felt something he'd never felt before. Complete, whole, home. 3 weeks after the grand opening, Marcus sat in Rosie's diner. Same booth where he'd first sat with the three boys. Same cracked vinyl. Same chipped coffee mug. Betty still worked the counter, still giving him that knowing smile every morning. Marcus had become a regular. Breakfast at Rosie's, then to the center to help Patricia with programs, lunch with the kids, afternoons working on the foundation, evenings at the Pine Motel. He still hadn't gone back to New York, hadn't returned a single business call. His assistant had stopped calling after the first month. His board had held an emergency meeting and voted him on indefinite leave. His competitors were circling his company like sharks, waiting to see if he'd come back. Marcus didn't care. The bell above the door rang. Malik, Jamal, and Deshawn walked in, bringing cold air with them. It was late February now, still freezing, still beautiful. Morning, Mr. Wellington, Malik said, sliding into the booth. How many times do I have to tell you, call me Marcus? Old habits, Malik said, grinning. Betty appeared with coffee for all of them. The boys were old enough now, she decided. Besides, it was Montana. Kids grew up fast here. The usual, she asked. Please, they all said. Betty walked away. The four of them sat in comfortable silence for a moment. So, Jamal said, pushing his new glasses up. Marcus had bought him proper ones last month. We heard something. What'd you hear? That you're thinking about leaving. Marcus took a sip of coffee. News traveled fast in small towns. Where'd you hear that? Miss Patricia, she said you've been looking at plane tickets. Marcus nodded slowly. I have to go back eventually. My company. My life. It's all still there waiting. The boys looked disappointed, but not surprised. When? Deshawn asked quietly. Next week. Monday. That soon? I've been here almost 3 months. That's a long time in my world. Malik stared into his coffee cup. Are you coming back? The question hung in the air. I don't know. Marcus admitted. I want to. But I also have responsibilities, people depending on me, contracts, obligations. The stuff that doesn't matter, Jamal said. Marcus laughed, but it came out sad. Yee, the stuff that doesn't matter. Betty brought their food, eggs, bacon, hash browns, the same breakfast Marcus had been eating for 3 months. He'd never get tired of it. They ate in silence for a while. The diner filled up with morning regulars, farmers, shop owners, people heading to work. Everyone waved at Marcus. He waved back. He knew all their names now, their stories, their struggles, their dreams. Can I tell you something? Malik said suddenly. Of course. These last 3 months watching you here, working with us, helping the center. He paused, choosing his words carefully. You remind me of my dad. Marcus felt his chest tighten. Not in the way you look or talk, Malik continued, but in the way you care, the way you show up, the way you help without expecting anything back. My dad was like that, and now you are too. I'm trying to be, Marcus said softly. You're succeeding, Jamal said. The kids at the center, they love you. They ask about you every day. Where's Mr. Marcus? Is Mr. Marcus coming today? You're like, I don't know, like a dad to all of them. The words hit Marcus harder than expected. A dad. He'd never been a father, never been married, never had time for family. He'd been too busy building an empire. But these kids, these 80 kids in Pinewood, they'd become his family without him even realizing it. I don't want to lose that, Marcus said, his voice rough. But I also don't know how to live in 2 worlds. The Marcus who built companies and closed billion-dollar deals, he doesn't fit here. And the Marcus who lives here doesn't fit there anymore. So choose, Deshaun said simply. It's not that simple. Why not? Marcus opened his mouth to explain. All the reasons, the complexity, the obligations, the expectations. But then he stopped. Why wasn't it simple? My dad used to say, Malik spoke quietly, that every person has 2 lives, the life they're living and the life they could be living. And the tragedy is when those 2 lives are completely different and you're stuck in the wrong one. Marcus stared at him. Your dad said that. Yeah. Right before he died, he told me he was lucky because his 2 lives were the same. He was living exactly the life he wanted, helping people, being with family, making a difference. He said that's all that mattered in the end. Marcus felt something break open inside him, a dam he'd been holding back for 3 months. I've been living the wrong life, he whispered. For 25 years, I've been living the completely wrong life. The boys didn't say anything. Just let him sit with that truth. I built a company worth $500 million. Marcus continued, his voice getting stronger. I have a penthouse in Manhattan, cars, art, everything money can buy. And I was miserable. Every single day I was miserable. I just didn't know it because I'd never known anything different. He looked at the 3 boys. Then you 3 fixed my tire and refused my money and showed me what my life was missing. Connection, purpose, meaning. The things money can't buy. So stay, Malik said. Stay here. Live this life. But my company will survive without you, Jamal interrupted. Companies always do. You've got board members, right? Executives, let them run it. But it's mine. I built it. And now it's time to build something else, Deshaun said. Something better. Marcus looked at these 3 boys, teenagers, kids, and yet they understood life better than most adults he knew. You're right, Marcus said. You're absolutely right. Betty appeared with more coffee. You boys solving the world's problems over here. Just one man's problems, Malik said. Betty looked at Marcus. You staying or going? How does everyone know my business? She laughed. Small town honey. We all know everything. So, what's it gonna be? Marcus took a deep breath. I'm staying. The boys erupted in cheers, loud enough that the whole diner turned to look. He's staying, Deshaun announced to everyone. The diner applauded. Marcus felt his face get hot, but he was smiling. Does Miss Patricia know? Jamal asked. Not yet. I only just decided. She's gonna cry, Malik said. She cries at everything. True. They finished breakfast. Marcus paid. He always paid. Betty always tried to refuse. It had become a routine. Outside, the February sun was bright, cold but beautiful, the kind of day that made you glad to be alive. So what are you gonna do? Malik asked as they walked down Main Street. About your company. Sell it, Marcus said. The words came easily. I'll sell majority stake to my board. Keep enough to live on. Use the rest for the foundation. How much is the rest? Marcus did quick math in his head. After taxes and everything, probably $400 million. The boys stopped walking. $400 million to the foundation, Jamal said. Why not? I don't need it. And think about how many communities we could help. How many centers like Pinewood we could fix. That's insane, Deshaun said. That's the most insane, amazing, crazy thing I've ever heard. Your father started this, Marcus said to Malik. All of it. His kindness, his lessons, they created a ripple effect. And now that ripple is going to turn into a wave. We're going to help thousands of kids, tens of thousands, all because a mechanic in Montana taught his son what really matters. Malik's eyes were wet. Dad would have loved this. I wish I could have met him. You did, Malik said. Through us, through his lessons. He's still here, Mr. Wellington. Marcus. He's still making a difference. They reached the community center. Kids were already arriving for after-school programs. The building looked perfect, alive, exactly what it should be. Patricia was at the door greeting kids as they came in. She saw Marcus and the boys and waved. Marcus, can you help with something? Be right there. He turned to the boys. Tell your uncles, your aunts, everyone. I'm having a dinner at Rosie's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. I want to officially tell the town I'm staying, and I want to announce the foundation's plans. We'll spread the word, Malik said. The boys headed inside. Marcus stood outside for a moment, looking at the building. 3 months ago, this place was falling apart. Now it was thriving, full of life and hope and possibility. 3 months ago, Marcus was falling apart too. Now he was whole. His phone buzzed. He'd started turning it on occasionally, checking messages once a day. It was his lawyer. Marcus Board wants an answer. Are you coming back or not? They need to know. Marcus typed his response. Not coming back. Start paperwork to sell my majority shares to the executive team. I'll sign whatever you need remotely. I'm staying in Montana. He hit send. A weight lifted off his shoulders. The last tie to his old life cut. He was free. Marcus, Patricia called again. I really need your help. He walked inside. The warmth hit him immediately, not just from the heating, from the laughter, the voices, the life. Patricia stood in the main room, looking stressed. The art supplies for the new program arrived, but there's so many boxes. I don't know where to put everything. Show me. They spent the next hour organizing art supplies, paints, brushes, canvas, clay, everything kids could need to create. Kids kept interrupting, wanting to show Marcus things. A drawing. A test they aced, a story they wrote. He stopped every time, looked at every picture, read every story, celebrated every success. This was his life now. This was what mattered. Around 5 p.m., when most of the kids had gone home, Marcus and Patricia sat in the new reading nook, exhausted but happy. Can I tell you something? Patricia said. Of course. When you first showed up 3 months ago, I thought you were crazy. Rich man having a midlife crisis, wanting to throw money at a problem to feel better about himself? Marcus laughed. That's not totally wrong. But you proved me wrong. You didn't just throw money at us. You gave us your time, your energy, your heart. You became part of this community, part of this family. She took his hand. Her grip was strong, warm. These kids love you, Marcus. I love you. You're not a stranger anymore. You're one of us. You're home. Marcus felt tears threaten. I am home. I finally found where I belong. So you're really staying. This isn't just talk. I'm really staying. I'm selling my company, putting everything into the foundation. This is my life now. You, the kids, Pinewood, all of it. Patricia hugged him, held on tight. Welcome home, Marcus, she whispered. Welcome home. The next night, Rosie's diner was packed, every table full, people standing along the walls. The entire town had shown up. Marcus stood near the counter looking at all the faces. People who'd become friends, people who'd accepted him, people who'd shown him what community really meant. Betty handed him a spoon and a glass. Speech time, honey. Marcus tapped the spoon against the glass. The diner went quiet. Thank you all for coming, he started. His voice shook slightly. 3 months ago, I drove through Pinewood as a stranger, a lost, empty stranger who didn't know what he was missing. Then 3 boys, he gestured to Malik, Jamal, and Deshaun, showed me what kindness looks like, what real wealth looks like, what matters in life. People nodded, smiled. I came here to say thank you, but I stayed because I found something I'd been searching for my whole life. I found home. I found family. I found purpose. He paused, gathering his thoughts. I'm not going back to New York. I'm staying here, permanently. This is where I belong. The diner erupted in cheers. People clapped. Someone whistled. Marcus waited for quiet. I'm also announcing the James Davis Foundation, $400 million dedicated to helping communities like Pinewood, fixing community centers, supporting youth programs, helping kids who deserve better. More applause. Louder this time. But here's the thing, Marcus continued. Money alone doesn't change lives. People change lives. Connection changes lives. Kindness changes lives. So yes, we'll give money, but we'll also give time, energy, heart. We'll show up. We'll help. We'll be present. The way James Davis was. The way his son Malik is. The way this whole town has been for each other. He looked at Malik. The boy was crying. So was his Uncle Joe. James Davis taught his son that wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in lives changed, in people helped, in connections made. And by that measure, James Davis was the richest man I've ever heard of, and I'm honored, so honored to carry on his legacy. The diner was silent now. Everyone listening, everyone feeling it. So thank you, Pinewood. Thank you for taking in a stranger. Thank you for teaching me what really matters. Thank you for giving me a home. Marcus raised his coffee mug. To James Davis, to kindness, to community, to home. To home. Everyone echoed, raising their own mugs. The diner exploded in celebration. People came up to Marcus, shook his hand, hugged him, thanked him. Malik pushed through the crowd. Mr. Wellington, Marcus, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. You already gave me everything. My dad, Malik's voice broke. My dad would have been so happy. So proud. This foundation in his name, helping people like he did, he couldn't finish. Marcus pulled him into a hug, held him while he cried. Let him feel it all. Your father's legacy will live forever, Marcus said quietly, through you, through this foundation, through every life we help. He didn't die, Malik. He multiplied, and he's going to keep multiplying for generations. They stood there in the crowded diner, the noise and celebration swirling around them. But in that moment, it was just Marcus and Malik, two people connected by loss and hope and the memory of a good man. When Malik finally pulled back, he was smiling through his tears. Thank you, he said, for everything. Thank you, Marcus replied, for changing my life. The party went late into the night. Stories were told. Laughter filled the air. Plans were made. Around midnight, people started heading home. Work tomorrow. School. Life continuing. Marcus walked out into the cold Montana night. The stars were brilliant. More stars than he'd ever seen in Manhattan. The sky alive with light. Malik, Jamal, and Deshaun walked with him. So this is really happening, Jamal said. You're really staying. I'm really staying. And the foundation is really happening. It's really happening. They walked in comfortable silence for a while, their breath visible in the cold air. Can I ask you something? Deshaun said. Anything. Are you happy? Like really happy? Marcus stopped walking. Thought about it. Really thought. 3 months ago, he had everything money could buy. And he was miserable. Now he had a room at the Pine Motel, a used truck he'd bought from someone in town, clothes from the local store, and 80 kids who called him Mr. Marcus. Yeah, Marcus said, smiling. I'm really happy. Happier than I've ever been in my entire life. Good, Deshaun said simply. That's good. They reached the motel. Marcus's truck sat in the parking lot, snow covering the windshield. See you tomorrow, Malik asked. See you tomorrow. The boys headed off. Marcus watched them go. 3 boys on foot this time, too late for bikes, but still together, still laughing, still spreading the kindness their father had taught them. Marcus went to his room. The heater still rattled. The TV still only got 3 channels. The mattress still sagged. It was perfect. He lay down still in his clothes and stared at the ceiling. His phone buzzed. A message from his lawyer. Papers drawn up. Board approved the sale. You're officially free. Congratulations. Marcus smiled. Free. What a beautiful word. He closed his eyes. Thought about tomorrow. Working at the center. Having lunch with the kids. Planning the foundation's first projects with Patricia. His old life felt like a dream now. A strange empty dream that he'd finally woken up from. This was real. This was true. This was home. Marcus Wellington, former billionaire, former CEO, former empty shell of a man, fell asleep in a $25 motel room and dreamed of 3 boys on bicycles, riding through a blizzard, coming to save him, not from a flat tire, but from himself. And when he woke up the next morning, sun streaming through the thin curtains, he knew one thing for certain: he'd been saved, completely and utterly saved, by kindness, by community, by 3 boys who refused $500 because their father taught them that wealth isn't measured in currency, it's measured in lives changed. And Marcus Wellington was going to spend the rest of his life changing as many lives as he possibly could, starting right here in Pinewood, Montana, home.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.